So it's been a couple of days, maybe a week or so since I last checked out Axie Infinity. Let's check out what has been going on since I last made my last video. Now, I believe the last video I made, we were round about this inverse head and shoulders. I was talking about the breakdown target being around $21.60, but you can actually see I drew this price prediction because in my opinion, I do think that Axie Infinity is going to be coming down to $14.50. Interestingly, we came down to $16 already. We're down, even after the bounce, we're down about 30% since my prediction. So all seems to be going well since the last video. Macro term, nothing has changed. I always do like to look at the weekly and just kind of see if we are below, your 618 fib 786. If you're miles below your 786, you can also see, in my opinion, this trend low to high is a trend best defined on the weekly time frame. That means that if you do have multiple weekly closes, really even one weekly close below your 786 fib, it is probably done. If we came down to this support box and got a bounce, it could have been like a so be it moment, but in my opinion it's pretty crystal clear. We came up, had a blow off top, back tested your 786, came up to your 618. This is when we got rejected from the macro trend. Double rejection from your 618. That is a double top on the 618. Absolutely brutal. You can also see this M pattern started to play out. We broke down from the neckline, and this is the point where we've capitulated below the 786. So very textbook stuff here with the Fibonacci's, double rejection, M pattern breakdown. If we actually extrapolate the price target of this M pattern, because I don't think I noticed this or talked about this before, this interestingly lines up with almost the lows, but more specifically it lines up with the candle body closes all the way back here. So let me mark this green as a potential area of support that you can see. You can also see, based on this previous back test of the wick, we've got another area of support around about $14.50, which is where I'm personally targeting. Now we're going to head over to the daily in just 1 second. I do want to comment on the weekly volume. It does seem like the trend is your friend on this one. Volume is exponentially increasing while the price action drops and volume rises. That is a textbook kind of signal that the bottom is not in. It would be completely different if we were dropping in price and the bearish volume was tapering down like this and we were running out of momentum. That would be a sign that there's not many sellers left in the market, but we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing volume exponentially increase. And bear in mind, this is Saturday, and we're already increasing from the trend of what we saw the past couple of weeks or so. Obviously last week, absolutely brutal, would be hard to top that, but it does seem like we are going to be pushing up. So heading over to the daily time frame, actually let's see if there's any types of divergence of any kind in the price action whatsoever. So it seems like the OBV is pretty flat, but it is heading down. What you can also see is from low to here we have, let me draw this out just to be sure I'm not missing anything. So it does seem like we are seeing some type of divergence. So if we pull up the divergence cheat sheet, this is one of my favorite things to reference to. I'm not gonna lie, I hate memorizing all of these different types of divergence. So I kind of remember them in my head, but I just double check on these divergence cheat sheets. And it does look like we are seeing bullish divergence at this moment in time. Only on the money flow indicator. All the other oscillators are not diverging whatsoever. Bear in mind, macro divergence on the weekly time frame can take a while to play out. So I would definitely not take this to the bank. I wouldn't see this bullish divergence and get overly hyped up. But like I said, I do like to make sure that I'm covering everything. I personally think Axie and the other altcoins have further to capitulate, and I'm going to talk about, other charts, other evidence that we can quantify on why I believe altcoins are going to go down against Bitcoin. It's not really just what I believe. It's looking at, Axie versus the Bitcoin pair. They're clearly capitulating. So I will bring that up later on in the video. But like I said, when I'm talking about bearish things, I do like to look for bullish things, make sure I'm being completely unbiased with all my analysis. We are seeing a bit of bullish divergence, which is a good sign. However, like I said, I would be slightly cautious on this playing out. I wouldn't take it to the bank or anything like that, especially as we are kind of losing the strength on the money flow indicator at this moment in time. So where did this line cut? Okay, this was the price line, so we can head back over to the daily time frame now. We've included that. You can see there's a very odd mix between bullish price action and bearish price action recently. It is obviously more bearish than anything else. We also have seen in the past week a lot of these altcoins get bounces, so I wouldn't attribute this extra buying volume as anything special, especially as we're not seeing continuation. What you're actually seeing is the bullish volume is starting to decrease, and the same way we talked about earlier on in this video, you know, looking at this on the weekly time frame, the same way we said if bearish volume starts to decrease like this, then it's a bullish sign. When bullish volume starts to decrease, it is also a sign that bears are going to be pulling back control. And talking about control, looking at our squeeze momentum indicator, the bears are clearly in control of this downtrend right now. You can see there has been a few times where the bears have started to kind of subside and lose a bit of their momentum in these areas. But when I do look at the squeeze mom, when I do look at a loss of momentum, I always like to see, was this loss of momentum, can this be attributed to a bearish retest of your EMA ribbons? And if we look at the price, you can see these bunny hills that actually turn into M patterns. You can see two beautiful M patterns within a bunny hill. I think I just kind of made up the term bunny hill. I've never seen anyone else talk about it. I'm going to Google that after I make this video. But I always call these bunny hills when you see loss of momentum on the squeeze mom, and you kind of see these rounding tops where you can see it kind of goes up, loses momentum, and rounds back down. As you're going up into it, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. You lose momentum, you start to curve down, and then you can see momentum picks up once again to the downside. I call these bunny hills. No idea if that is an actual technical, but at least from what I've been looking at in my charts on my analysis, this seems to be something that plays out a lot of the time, especially when you pair the squeeze mom with bearish rejections on the EMA ribbon. So you probably won't be able to find like textbook analysis on that. That is kind of just something that I notice at least. Obviously all technical analysis is just people making up stuff that they've noticed has patterns in the charts anyway, so there's no reason why I can't do it, especially if there's evidence kind of quantifying that that is being what is happening. And like I see, you know, we lose momentum, and most of the time it is really just retests of these EMA ribbons. Every time we've tried to flip these, we did actually temporarily flip these, but we literally failed very, very hard to flip these. So the trend is your friend until the end on this one. If we come down to the 4-hourly time frame, we can see if we really are already losing that momentum. Interestingly, we're kind of lollygagging around the bottom of these EMA ribbons. The EMA ribbons are tightening. Normally when these tighten, it means a big move is going to be happening. For example, you can see these were pretty wide here, and while these were wide, we kind of just lollygagged and chilled around the bottom of these. And as you can see, this was the inflection point when the EMA ribbons got super tight. They really started to converge into each other, and when that happened, we saw a big move back to the downside. The EMA ribbons kind of thickened themselves out a bit, loosened up, and now they're getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and the highs are getting lower and lower and lower. And also in the micro term, you can see the lows are getting higher. So we're really kind of converging at this moment in time. It does seem like a big breakout is going to be happening in the next 24 hours. Well, technically the next 28 hours. This would be when the 4-hourly apex of this would be. I think we're going to be having a move in the next 24 hours, maybe less than that. Squeeze bomb on the 4-hourly time frame is already starting to tick over into light red. This is indicative we are losing momentum, and the markets are probably going to capitulate at some point soon. Zooming out, I personally wouldn't want to draw this as a bear flag. I think it would be a little bit wonky if you drew the pole like this as well. So I really think we're in an asymmetrical triangle, but I think the breakdown is more likely. Like I said, the only bullish sign that we've noticed so far was the divergence, but you know, M pattern breakdown is calling for a move down to $9. I'm personally calling for a move down to $14.50. I think a lot of these altcoins are going to capitulate against Bitcoin, and that is basically the Axie USD chart that I had to run through with you today. I think we're going to quickly check out Axie versus Bitcoin, and I'm going to talk about, because I've been saying in all my altcoin videos, I've been saying in the Axie videos, in this video specifically, that I think all these altcoins are capitulating against Bitcoin. So let me talk about that and show you why I think this is the case. Well, let's quantify Axie against something else. Instead of dividing the price of Axie by the US dollar, let's divide it by Bitcoin and see how Axie is performing against Bitcoin. And as you can see, you know, basic trend line, that is almost enough said. You could kind of just look at this and, you know, I don't need to say this is bearish. Clearly we've capitulated below the 786, and now the trend is done. This is a trend best defined on the weekly. The weekly close is not here yet, but we are looking like we want to put a weekly close below the 786 Fibonacci. I mean, we didn't even bounce back to the 618. This trend line says it all. We're clearly putting in lower highs, 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 and it's getting more exponential. We're clearly breaking down. I don't need to deep dive into this chart. It seems fairly obvious that we are breaking down. Once again, you are seeing a tiny bit of bullish divergence where the price is heading down, but the money flow indicator is actually heading up a bit. We're not seeing divergence in the RSI. We're not seeing divergence in the OBV, which is the on-balance volume. I think it's pretty clear cut that we are going to be capitulating to lower levels, but I think this bullish divergence could be playing out in the next couple of months or so, when I personally predict that a bottom is going to be coming for Bitcoin and the altcoins, and we're going to talk about that very momentarily in just a second. Bitcoin, this is also interesting to look at, because if Bitcoin breaks down, obviously Axie is going to break down, and if Bitcoin and Axie are breaking down, I think Axie is going to break down further capitulating the Axie BTC pair, which we're clearly in a bear market on. We've been in a bear market since October 2021. Coming over to Bitcoin USD, you can see we've recently broken out of this triangle. I think we're moving down to 25,000. More specifically, my actual price target of where I personally think Bitcoin is going to find a bottom is at 22,000 on the 200-week moving average. You can see there's no bullish divergence on the RSI at this moment in time. We are in a bear market on the RSI. And to wrap up this video, Bitcoin dominance. This is why I think all altcoins are going to be and are getting slaughtered against Bitcoin already. You know, it's no secret. It doesn't take a chart genius to look at this and think, okay, one trend line defines it all. Until we hop over this trend line, then Axie is clearly bearish against Bitcoin. Until this breaks, then, you know, obviously it would make sense to hold Bitcoin over Axie, while Bitcoin is clearly outperforming Axie. And what I'm noticing right now is this breakout that we're currently witnessing on the Bitcoin dominance. Basically, when the Bitcoin dominance goes up, the market cap takes up more Bitcoin than altcoins. So if the Bitcoin dominance keeps on breaking up, I personally think it's going to be breaking up to 60 to 65%. This would literally be, because when the Bitcoin dominance broke up before, we were in a bear market, and I was here during this bear market as the Bitcoin dominance was going up. Altcoins got slaughtered against Bitcoin, and this is what I think we're seeing right now. I think we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. Could be wrong on this, but I do think Bitcoin dominance is going to keep on breaking out. I think Axie against Bitcoin is going to keep on underperforming, and for those reasons, like I've been saying, it only makes sense for me in my trading plan to buy Bitcoin, because I think these altcoins are going to massively capitulate against their BTC pairs, and this is what we're seeing with Axie against Bitcoin anyway. So that is to wrap up the video. Like I said, I do think we're going to continue to break down. $14.50 is my first price target. I do think we could go continue to break down all the way down to $9.64. I do not have any prices that I have plans for DCAing at the moment. Like I've been saying, it only makes sense for me to DCA altcoins after the Bitcoin dominance has done with its move to the upside. If you're DCAing altcoins at this moment in time, expecting Bitcoin dominance to go up and keep on going up, then I mean it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, if you expect the Bitcoin dominance to keep on going up and you expect Bitcoin to keep on outperforming altcoins, then like I said, it doesn't make sense for me to say this is my price target where I want to DCA into Axie, because if that price target gets hit while the Bitcoin dominance is only up at like 50% or 55%, and I expect the Bitcoin dominance to keep on moving up further, which I do, then like I said, it doesn't make sense at this moment in time for me to have a very, very clear and simple, okay, if we break down to this level or this level, this is when I DCA. It's unfortunately not that simple. We need to wait and see what happens after the Bitcoin dominance finishes its move, because there's going to be a hush puppy mix between some altcoins holding up okay and some altcoins getting absolutely slaughtered. We are yet to see if Axie will hold up in this bear market type scenario. I think it's going to get slaughtered, but like I said, I'm looking forward to these discounts against the Bitcoin pairs. That's all I've got. Hope you found some value in this video. Like I said, all the altcoins, Axie included, are going to go down against Bitcoin, in my opinion. A lot of the charts back that up. That's all I've got. As always, cowboy out, not financial advice, and most importantly, peace.